Aloha, I'm Dr. Matt James, and I'm a doctor of integrative psychology. I come from Hawaii. The Aloha shirt may have given that away a little bit. And one of the things that I teach is a concept called Huna. It's actually a spiritual teaching that comes from the islands of Hawaii and goes back 28 generations into the ancient culture in Hawaii. It was passed down into my family, taught to my father, taught to me when I was a kid. And one of the cornerstones of Huna is energy work. Energy, the basic life force energy that we have in our body. The Hawaiians use the word mana, no different than chi, ki, prana, you name it. Every ancient culture had this idea that we have this basic life force energy within us. We went through a long period, I began teaching in the 90s, and we went through a long period of people saying this energy stuff is woo-woo, it's out there. I love how things have come full circle. I love teaching in this day and age because all of the research that I've looked at with regards to energy, and you're tying this into the expression of our cells, it begins to tie in this idea that the energy that we have in our body affects our cells, and I'll talk about that in a moment. The term epigenetics, the study of how our genes are able to shift, it talks about the idea that at the deepest level of who we are, within our DNA code, within our genetics, there is a flexibility there, a wide range of flexibility, and that there are specific things that can shift the expression of our genes. When you bring these two concepts together in a scientific and yet very energetic way, you're tapping into the resources that people are just now beginning to understand through research. So let's slow it down for a moment. What is energy? Energy is body heat. Energy is electrical impulses along your neural pathway. If you look in quantum physics, as they delve deeper and deeper into physical structure, they found at the deepest level of who we are is raw energy. They even found condensed light. I think it's Fred Alan Wolf, famous quantum physicist, said, it's as if science took us away from the ancient teachings and brought us back full circle, to bring us back to the point of understanding that what these ancient cultures were talking about was actually true, not metaphorical. So at the deepest level of who we are is energy. If you just look at the atoms in your body, you can make this very scientific. Tens of trillions of atoms in your body, you take one out, you split it, the city's gone. This energy is in you. We are each a walking nuclear power plant. I worked with an individual at a university that I ran, Dr. Bruce Lipton, wrote a book called Biology of Belief, cited research in that book that was done in the 80s. He actually opens up his book, and before his book was published and he would talk about this at our conventions, he would talk about the fact that this is old research, that two things affect your cells first and foremost, energy and environment. If you take a cell, put it in a petri dish, and put it in a negative environment and bombard it with bad energy, let's just go non-scientific for a second, the cell will grow into things that are less than positive. Cancer. It will become a cell that grows into things that we treat with things like chemotherapy and awful medications that harm the entire body. On the other side, you take that same cell, you put it in a petri dish in a positive environment, and it can grow into a healthy liver cell. It can grow into a healthy kidney cell. It can, in other words, it flourishes. So this research that was done in the 80s says two things affect your cell first and foremost, energy and environment. Dr. Bruce Lipton was recently at Agape, invited there by Michael Beckwith, and he shared this entire thing, broke it down, and began to tie it into genetics. Dr. Bruce Lipton and Dr. Deepak Chopra talk about how 99% of our genetics, our genes, are not on-off switches, but rather an expression across a spectrum. Dr. Bruce Lipton says that one gene can have 3,000 different expressions, and what changes the expression of the gene is energy and environment. The idea of not just knowing this, but understanding the mechanics behind it. How does this energy, this mana, this life force energy, directly affect our cells? And at the nucleus of the cell, the DNA, the expression of the genes, and that through that energy you can instantly alter or shift the genetic expression, becomes an empowering thing for an individual. Environment is also a key factor. And As a doctor of integrative psychology, I'll sometimes look out at my group and I'll say, how many of you like New York? A bunch of hands will go up. How many of you don't like New York? A bunch of hands will go up. I know that the science says it's energy and environment, and the way I teach it is it's energy and consciousness that affects our cells, because your interpretation of your environment will shift your experience of it. One person's cells will thrive in New York, another person's will not thrive in New York. So the idea that environment plays a role is totally true, and our interpretation of it is what actually shifts our body. A person who is in a perceived stressful environment will begin to experience physical stressors, signs of stress, release of specific hormones, a shift in their biochemistry. You look at Boston Mass General study on meditation over 30 days, you can measure a shift in the amygdala and a shift in output of specific hormones. It's incredible. And that was just a mindfulness-based meditation. Think happy thoughts. When you begin to delve into the studies that are done by Yale right now, looking at Qigong masters who are able to direct their energy, they also took people who are Reiki masters and even a person who does Huna, directing their energy and seeing an immediate shift in the body. We are right on the cutting edge of taking these ancient concepts of energy, how to tap into them and do energy work, tying it into the science of epigenetics where you can have an immediate shift in the physical body. And as these two merge together, we're moving into the next phase of holistic health and integrative health. This is what I teach, not just around the planet, but online and with individuals one-on-one to help people live a more empowered life through ancient concepts and modern science. Thank you very much for watching this video. I appreciate it. Take care. Aloha.